everybody. My name is Desireé Jones. We're going to get things started. Welcome to the networking workshop. Hi. I'm so happy everyone has come here with the traffic. It's a little gloomy outside, but I'm glad you're here. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Whew. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so I'll give a brief intro. My name is Desireé Jones. I am a creative techie, a content strategist, video editor, and the author of Hey, Nice to Meet You, the Networking Manual. So let's go ahead and get into this conversation. This is going to be interactive, okay? So we're gonna get some engagement, we'll get some feedback. We might ask some people to come on stage, so just be ready, okay? Everyone ready? All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna do some disclaimers here when it comes to networking. So if you can read here, the first thing, networking is a skill that you can't master overnight, right? It's something that requires practice, and it's something you should keep in mind. Like if you mess up, if you slip up, it's fine. But the goal is to understand that it's a skill. Like every other skill, like it's something to practice. Number two, networking makes you great at connecting. But if you can't follow through on what you discuss, then you're wasting your time. Because networking is a two-way street. We're connecting, we're understanding each other, we're building value. The last thing, consistency is key. So when you continue to network, it takes practice, but you just continue at it, and eventually, the mic's on. Okay, so now let's get into the conversation. But who am I? Who am I to talk about networking? Who is this girl with these boots and this hair talking about networking? Well, let's give you a background story. Do you mind turning the music off? Oh, you did? Okay, wonderful. Who am I? Right? Who am I? Well, for starters, I'm Desireé Jones. I graduated from Hampton University as Zeta Phi Beta Sorta Incorporated, my organization. Hey! All right, Brad. How you doing? So that was in 2018. Then I went to London right after graduating. Of course, because of networking, and it was fantastic. It was one of those years where, you know how it's rainy, but for some reason, during the time I went, it was all sunny. So there's no AC over there, so everybody was burning up, and I was having fun, because I'm from Georgia, so the sun is the best for me. And then 2019 came, so let's go ahead and look over here. This is when it started getting interesting. As you can see, that's me, and the whole just crowd of what's going on happened. So for context, I graduated, went to London, came back home applying for jobs. Oh yeah, I got this. I ended up applying for a news company in New York. And so what happened was, I got there, saved up on my money, stayed in Brooklyn, great. When I got to the internship, the director told me that she thinks I'm not a good fit. So after being there for less than 3 weeks, I got let go. I saved so much money getting there, I was new to the city, and this is the face of me just being like, are you kidding me? I graduated college, I went to London, and now I got let go? What do I do now? So this is where it gets fun. 2020, that was my low point. I don't know if anyone's from Georgia here, but they have this place called the Pink Pig at Macy's, at Lenox Mall. It was really rough. So I had to take the MARTA all the way downtown. Didn't really have any money to my name, just figuring it out, taking photos, doing whatever it takes, still applying for jobs. 2021, then it was the pandemic. So I was still looking for something. Didn't know, and ended up getting a job at Home Depot during the pandemic. I got my forklift license. So everybody was having a hot girl summer. I was having a Home Depot summer, okay? I was getting all the mulch. I was, trying to figure out how to get different things in the garden. Shout out to my roommate, she's in the garden, so she does gardening things. But when I was there, I was just kind of floored. I was figuring it out, right? Then 2022, it started working out. Like I ended up getting an internship with the Motley Fool, which turned into a full-time job. And 2023 is when I launched my book, Hey Nice to Meet You, the Networking Manual. So throughout every season of my life so far, I had to really lean on my network. Like networking got me to London. Networking is what got me into my news company that I was working for. Honestly, networking didn't get me that job though. I just had to figure that one out. Networking is what helped me get a forklift license, a reach license, all these licenses while working part-time. And the fun fact about Home Depot, which I will always cherish, is during that time I didn't have a car. So you guys know about the scooters that they have, you take the scooter on the road. So I lived in like a suburban area. So I had to take a scooter at like 4:30 in the morning to get to work by 5 a.m. And that was just it was very dangerous. Yes, very dangerous. Had a helmet, but I was trying to save up for a car. I was trying to save to just really figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And by the grace of God, I ended up getting a car, and it's because of that car, I ended up driving up to DC to work intern, and then that turned into a full-time role. So although, it seems like you're in like a low point, networking kind of helps you navigate how to get out of that low point and kind of get you to another level of your life. And it impacted me so much that I realized in this day and age, people really don't know how to network. And especially with the pandemic, it's even harder to communicate because at the time we're all sitting at home. We're all just not really doing anything. So how we communicate is very, very different. But the moment you start networking, the moment you start communicating, the moment you start being intentional with what you want out of your life, things start happening in very miraculous ways. And I wrote this book to help people discover the power of networking and being intentional. So, keep going. Let's move on. Oh, that's this way. Okay, so who can tell me what is networking? Who can tell me like a definition? Because we hear the word networking, we hear, oh yeah, let's network, let's chat, but like, what does it mean? Show of hands. Connecting people together, that's a good one. Okay.
Leveraging that connection.
Leveraging the connection. That's a very good one. Anyone else? That's a good one. Connecting people together, leveraging the connection. So my definition is networking is the ability to communicate and establish relationships to help you and others progress in their future endeavors. So what you guys just expressed. But it's easier said than done, right? Because we can be like, oh yeah, let's connect, let's network. But what does that actually mean? So we're gonna break that down today. And when you think about networking, and one thing I'm going to show you, there's going to be something in large caps that I'm not going to talk about yet. We're going to wait till the end. And when you see it, just keep that in the back of your head. But I believe there is a process to networking. And this process is something that can apply to any situation, any professional environment, anything you do in life. Communication, relationships, government, politics, engineering, marketing, business, the Gathering Spot, anything. So here is my process, right? We're gonna learn and walk through that process today. This is my process. What is the process of networking? So the first thing we have is the approach, right? Second thing is the conversation. Third thing is the intermission. Ooh, what's that? I'll explain. Last thing is the contact information. And of course, the one that I'm sure everyone is familiar with, the follow-up. So let's start breaking down each one. So, the approach. The approach is how to take that first step, right? But when you think about the first step, it's not necessarily the conversation, but it's the awareness. So, when you think about the approach, you're taking a step back to think, where are you? What's happening? Because your approach when you're talking to one person at a club might be different than how you approach somebody at a funeral. How you approach someone at church might be different than how you approach somebody at a bar. So when you think about the approach, you are also thinking about Like, how do you do this? Think about your setting. You're thinking about the other people. So is it just you that you're with? Or are you with a group of people? Is it in person or is it online? Because how you approach somebody online is different than how you approach someone in person, right? And then you gotta think about the platforms. Because how you approach somebody on LinkedIn might not be the same as how you approach somebody on Twitter, or X now, right? So we're gonna go to the next part. So this is the approach. So think about the approach. Where are you? What's happening? Be aware of what you're doing, right? When you're in a certain setting, think about that first. Now, next thing is the conversation. What are we talking about? And when I say conversation, it means to be intentional, right? Having intentional conversations is how you're able to navigate why you're talking to someone. So here are some examples. This is immediately when you meet someone, by the way. So if you see someone, like, oh my gosh, I love your leggings. I love your pants, the floral. It's great. It's an intro, right? It's an intro. Ask a question. I see you have this book. What's it about? It opens the conversation, right? Introducing yourself. It might be a little nerve-wracking to introduce yourself when you're first talking to someone, so that might be a little difficult, but if you feel like you want to talk to someone, depending on who they are, sometimes if I see someone, I'm like, hey, I'm Desireé, how you doing? How's it going? You know, that requires a little more confidence. That's okay if you don't have it, but stepping out of your comfort zone is how you start the conversation. And of course, finding something in common. But the last part, the last bullet point I said is being an active listener. Because the moment you say, so what do? You have to listen to what they do. Because sometimes, this is something for me sometimes, when I'm talking to someone, it's so easy to just zone out. Like, oh, wait, I'm sorry, what'd you say? But no, you have to be ready. So the moment you're like, so what do? What are they gonna say? Okay, your doctor. Okay, where do you work? Okay, this is what they said. But if you're at a club somewhere, you know, you got the lights, you got everything happening, oh my gosh, what's going on? You still gotta be locked in. Okay, what was that? You know, maybe let's go over here. Let's go where it's a little quiet so I can hear you. But, you know, thinking about the conversation, these are conversation starters, right? So now, this is where the fun begins, okay? So I would like 2 volunteers. They can come to the stage. We're gonna have some fun. Anyone would like to volunteer? Oh. We have 2 volunteers. Okay, yeah, go ahead, yes. All right, clap it up. For one guest, all right, welcome. Welcome. Okay, we need one other person because you can't have a conversation by yourself. So we're gonna test this out. We're bringing it to the forefront. Yes, look at you, come on up. All right, yeah, come on up on stage. Welcome. Welcome. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Desireé.
Hello, I'm Dolores.
Hi, Doris. Dolores. Hi, Dolores. Hey, what's your name?
Okay.
Hi, LaKendra. Pleasure to meet you. So we're going to do this activity, and we're going to have a scenario, okay? So are you ready? So here's the scenario, and you're going to pretty much act out this scenario based off of the approach we talked about and the conversation, okay? So the first scenario, and this will be for LaKendra. You're at a club, and you're outside waiting for your Uber. And you see her. What do? And you want to talk to her. Action.
Hey, are you paying for a ride too?
Yeah, I am, actually.
Did you use Uber or what?
Uber.
Did you ever use both of them?
Sometimes, but I prefer Uber.
Yeah, that was my question.
Everything.
So what do you offer?
I'm just going home.
Like, are you new to the city or you
In Alexandria.
You sure?
Or Baltimore.
You sure?
I've been in Frederick a few times.
Well, I live here. Would you mind, like, maybe getting together and showing me around sometime?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay. So we'll exchange information.
Round of applause. All right. That was great. Okay, so who can explain What happened? Was this a thumbs up or a thumbs down? You can tell me. Thumbs up? Everyone thumbs up? Okay, so why was it a thumbs up?
It was a thumbs up because she followed the correlation.
Mm-hmm. In what way?
There was introduction.
Okay.
She introduced herself.
Mm-hmm.
She found a common goal. They were both waiting for an Uber.
Okay.
Then they found something common amongst themselves outside of the parameters of them needing logistics to get home.
Love that.
And then there was a common information. She offered information. There was a giving and acceptance of information.
Right.
And then there was a mutual party.
Exactly. However, okay.
I would probably say that it really kind of go with the scenario.
Okay.
Because two people waiting on a live at the club, there's a lot of questions to be asked. What I do right
Yeah.
now, I was like,
What you doing?
a lot of questions. I just kind of put reality, or the networking depends on the scenario.
Right. Depends on the approach.
Pick and choose.
Right.
When X, Y, and Z.
Right. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else have anything?
I guess my question is, you said do it with intention, right? And
Right.
She's out there, she's waiting for an Uber. She's obviously coming out to wait for an Uber, so what was the intention there, right? She saw her earlier in the club, and, ooh, I want to talk to her.
Right.
And she follows her, and they leave at the same time, and she
Yeah.
has this opportunity, though.
Yeah.
So what was that intention in the club?
That would be something that she would have to ask. If the scenario, like if this was in real life,
Yeah.
the intention would be up to the person that's starting the conversation.
Yeah.
So it seemed like the intention was, you know what, I would love to know more about the Baltimore area. I'd love to get in contact. Let's keep going. Because sometimes when you're in a scenario and you just want to meet somebody, sometimes there really isn't an intention. But at the end of the day, when you're being intentional, the first step of being intentional is being intentional with saying hello. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know where it could go, but you won't know until you have the intention of saying, hey, nice to meet you. All right, so we'll have one more, yes.
Answer her question.
Go for it, yes.
I didn't see her in the club, so I didn't follow her outside. I just came out to wait for my ride, and I just struck up a
So you just
conversation.
came out of someplace
Yeah.
to wait for your ride that
Right.
wasn't the same club
And
that
so
she
when
was
I
at.
saw her there by herself, I just, was being friendly and struck up a conversation. And seeing as I was new to the area, that's why I asked her the questions that I did.
Can I also make a comment real quick?
Sure.
So under this scenario too, and just me being a man, it could have been a safety element
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
with that as well, as far as she saw a woman standing by herself.
Right,
So there's powers in numbers.
Right.
So she probably also wanted to just be there just in case somebody wanted to fraud me.
that's true. You are outside the club, and it's probably midnight, so you never know.
I have
Okay,
one more comment on that. too.
Sure, yes.
I don't know if I actually experienced a bit of hesitation on your part, but if I were you, I certainly would have in a real life situation, because you're
Mhm.
coming with a lot of questions, which I know that's what you're focusing on here.
Right.
That was a heck of a lot of questions
It
for a
was.
stranger standing outside of a club.
yes.
So I guess for me, I don't find a lot of realism in that particular scenario.
Okay, well, we got another one for you.
Okay.
All right, number 2. So now the roles are reversed. Is this okay? All right. You're at a conference, and you're both waiting outside of the door before you walk into the main event.
Hi, how are you? I'm doing good. Have you been here before?
Oh, this is my first time at this one.
Okay, same here. My name is Lakendra. What's your name?
Sure.
Where do you work?
I work for the airline.
Oh, airlines. Nice. Is that what brings you to the conference?
Yes.
Okay, nice. What are you hoping to get out of this experience?
Hoping to learn more about a different part of the industry so I can move to another position.
Oh, okay, nice. I'm here for the same thing. I'm trying to more in the tech industry, so I'm trying to learn more about different industries and meeting new people. Are you excited about the keynote speaker?
Definitely. That's been interesting.
Have you been following them for a while, or?
Just shortly, I learned about the event about 2 months ago. So.
Oh, nice. I just learned about it as well too.
Amazing, round of applause. Okay, this is thumbs up, thumbs down. How'd they do? Okay, who can explain how she did? We can navigate this. Anyone have any? Yes, in the back, Sione.
I think you guys did really good with small talk. That's something that I struggle with. So just coming together, finding the common ground while you're at the conference, I thought that was really good. I have a partner for the conference.
Exactly, because especially when you're going into a conference and you don't know anybody, it's great to just spark a conversation because you never know. You might have something in common, you might not, which leads me to the next part of this. So round of applause for you guys. Thank you so much. Y'all are amazing. I got a bookmark for both of y'all at the end. So we'll do that. So this leads to the next one, which you also brought up as well, Kim, which I'm glad you said. So we got the approach, right? You think about the scenario. You have the conversation. You started it, great. The next thing is the intermission, all right? So who here has gone to a play? All right, great. So when you think about a play, right, what usually happens during usually like the middle part? It's the intermission, right? So when you think about an intermission, usually these people either, go to the bathroom, get their life, stay around, or they leave because they don't want to stay, which kind of happens. So you can apply that to this scenario. So when you think about an intermission, that's the point which I believe both of them went through. There's like this sudden pause. Okay, there's a pause. So usually during that pause, there's silence. Another example is, let's say you're at the conference and you see somebody you know, but you're always talking to somebody and then you're like, oh my God, hey. That's the intermission because you're stopping the conversation and you're deciding whether or not you want to continue or not. So usually with the intermission, that's where you decide if you want to continue to talk with them or you want to go off somewhere else and talk to the person you already see. That's the intermission. That also happens when the other person sees somebody and then you're like, oh, okay, so they're talking to somebody else. So you decide, you know what? Thank you. You wanna, okay, cool. So like, I put the intermission here because there are scenarios, like the last one, like, you ready to go home? It's like, oh, we've talked this out. I'm kind of ready to leave. Okay, cool. See ya. So an intermission is there to help you navigate if you want to continue a conversation with somebody or if you want to go on about your day. Because a lot of times that's usually when it gets a little awkward because sometimes you'll talk to somebody and you kind of over talk and then you just forget about what else you want to talk about. Like you're all out of questions. You're all out of answers. So when you get to that point, that's when we get to the next part, right? So we got the intermission. We did that. We're gonna keep going. The contact information. So you get the intermission, it's quiet. You know what? I think I'm about to head out, but you did a great job, Dolores, with this. Can I get your contact? Because what happens is some people will be like, oh yeah, okay, I'll see you later. But you had a great conversation. So now it's like, okay, what were we talking for? Do you want to continue? But then sometimes with the intermission, you don't want to talk to these people. So this is where you have the option to get their contact or not. If you don't want to talk to them, then by all means, pleasure to meet you. I'll see you later. Okay, cool. But in most cases, if you're having a great conversation with someone, it would be best to get some type of contact, right? Get that information. So let's keep going. All right, so let's talk about different ways to connect because, there are different ways we can do this, different information consolidation tips. So you have social platforms. Well, I know for, Gen Z, millennials, we're like, oh, what's your Instagram? Right? Okay, cool, what's your Instagram? Some people, which I really don't like, what's your Snapchat? No. If you ask me for a Snapchat, I'm not gonna, no. I don't want your contact. Because like, what are we gonna snap for? Just get my picture. No. Some people, what's your LinkedIn? We're at the Gathering Spot. This is a professional environment. Usually here, what's your LinkedIn? Okay, cool, boom, boom, boom. And then what happens on LinkedIn, they would DM you, and then you get their number or their email. You know, gotta weed it out because you don't know who these people are. Same difference, but you still want to keep in touch. You still want to see what's happening in their lives. Understandable. And then of course, information consolidation. So, okay, have anyone heard of Blink? Blink? Okay, so Blink, and it's also kind of like Dot, and was it Popple? Yeah. So with these type of platforms, you have a QR code or some type of card that has all your information on it. So that way, you don't have to be like, what's your number? 77. Here's my QR code. Cool. It has my links, my Instagram, my platform, maybe my Snapchat, if you want it. It's all there. So that way, like example, if you're at a conference, oh my God, you see all these people you know, there's so much going on. Can we keep in touch? Oh, you know what? It's okay. Here's my QR code. Compared to, oh, I gotta go. Oh, wait, here's my 770. What's your email? At AOL. Oh, okay. Like, simple. You're on the go. Boom, boom, boom. Because in most cases, we're at a conference, when you're networking, we're going to workshops, it's easier to just, here's my QR code. Boom. So, there are different ways to do contact information. I highly suggest Blink. I actually also have a Blink, so you'll see it at the end. And in most cases, when you have a Blink or some type of QR code, if you don't have one and you take the picture, you can create your own immediately on the spot. So, contact information. All right. So we got the approach. What's the setting? The conversation. What are we talking about? The intermission. Do I want to keep talking to you? Do I want to keep talking? I don't know. The contact information. Here's my QR code. And then, the most important one, I feel like is, the hit or miss. That's the follow-up. Did anyone have any questions, by the way? Yes. Go for it.
Is there a reason why business cards weren't mentioned in the contact info?
Well, probably because I didn't put it there, to be honest. When I think of business cards, they are useful, but in this day and age, I'm more of like a Blink person. Like I'm more of like QR code is easier to navigate, it's simpler. It's digital.
Information consolidation.
It would, business cards. So yes, we can put business cards. If you have a business card, we can use a business card. And that's also in the book. Whatever platform you're on. And this is a quick hack. When you do get business cards, because I get business cards a lot, I lose them. But before I lose them, I take a picture. So that way, in case I do lose it, it's still in my phone. So I can always look it up. So that's a hack. So thank you. Yes, business cards are important if you use them. If not, don't worry about it. But if you do use them and you lose them, take a picture before, like immediately. Here's my card picture. Thank you.
Well, there are also applications that'll scan a business card. So
yes.
Somebody can hand it to you, you can scan it, and it puts it actually into your
contacts. Yes. Amazing. Yes, thank you for that. You had a question?
Yeah, so
yes.
Kind of like 2 points. So
sure.
Jordan Brown was one of the TGS board candidates.
Hi.
So I was here for the meet and greet, so I decided to come down. Thank you for doing this. This is awesome.
Of course.
But just 2 points.
Sure.
So as a small business owner, and if you are a small business owner or whatever, I think the challenge that I've seen is if you're an introvert, it's hard to get to the approach. But if you're an introvert, think about the contact influence. Your goal is to get the contact, right? I am a very big introvert, but my goal is to get the contact.
Right.
So I'll come up with a conversation. I'll push through the intermission with that contact info is my goal.
That's your goal? The contact? That's it?
As a business owner, yes. Well, that's just me. That's just me. But
I feel it.
And then the last piece I would add to your comment on the business card. So for the small business expos they do here in DC, for all the workshops that they do here in DC, I run into a lot of middle-aged people.
Right.
They have no idea how to use a QR code and don't have the time, at least from my experience, they haven't had the time to stand still long enough for me to show them how to do the QR code. So I love the business card idea.
Yes.
Having those on hand because that's the first thing that, in my experience, they ask for is the business card.
Yep.
I lose them too. I am the first one to lose them. But to stand there and with a 55, 60-year-old and to try to show them how to use a QR code on their phone,
Yes.
sometimes been difficult. So I love the idea of using the QR code in addition to the card.
Yes.
Well, also someone who's networked before as well. I don't lose business cards, those I want to hold on to. So you get a lot of business cards. There's, out of 5, there's 2.
You want to keep.
The ones I put here, those are ones I'm going to follow up with.
Right.
So every networking, so it's not about the business card format.
Yes.
It's about, I know which card I want to hold on. And I'll give you my card, there's a mutual exchange.
Yeah, it's subjective.
Right.
Each person, how they, whoever you are, it's always subjective. So if you have business cards, lead with the business card. If you have a digital platform or a digital QR code, use the digital code. If the other person doesn't have it, there has to be a middle ground. So, okay, I don't know how to use this. Well, do you have a card? Cool, I'll take a picture, boom, bam, bam. But this all leads to the final step. Because you can have the business cards, you can have the contact, but if you can't follow up, what you doing? What's the point? So you have the business card, you have the contact. So now it's time to follow up. When do you do it? How do you do it? It helps you reset the conversation based on the last conversation. And of course, it depends on the approach. So if you met them at a club, hey, you have their text or whatever, hey, it was great meeting you at the club. Do you want to link up sometime? I know, crazy, but it's networking. But it's still networking. It's a relationship, right? Like the goal of networking is not just to have a conversation, but it's about maintaining the relationship after you meet them. Because if you can't maintain the relationship after you meet them, why are you meeting them? It's a waste of time. So you think about the approach, think about how you met them, think about the location. So if you actually want to follow up and meet them, that's when it gets a little nitty gritty. Because you're like, okay, where do you want to meet, right? What time do you want to meet? These are all things to think about, the time. Think about why. So there are some instances when, let's say, you meet up with somebody, right? They might show up late, or they don't show up at all. So what happens then? That's when you think about your why. Why did you want to follow up with them in the first place? Why do you want to contact them? Why did I have this conversation with them? What did we discuss? If you're a small business owner and you want looking for a contract, hey, I noticed you didn't come to this meeting, or is everything okay? I'd love to reschedule, right? So I'm gonna bring up 2 more guests. I feel like I already kind of explained it, but 2 more guests, because we're gonna see this through about different scenarios. Because the way you network and the way you follow up is different, right? So is anyone else willing? If you can just do one, I can be the guest. I'll be the other person, by all means.
Well, not that I'm volunteering, but
Sure.
It was on the follow-up.
Right.
I would probably say follow-up should go like if you went to a job interview.
Right.
Really networking is just basically a job interview between 2 people.
Right.
What can you do for me? What can I do for you?
Right.
If you do a job interview, you follow up immediately. Hey, thanks for interviewing. Thanks for taking time to schedule. Do the same thing immediately. And if that person just walked off, they saw their phone and they saw that you were really sincere.
Right.
And because you let 2 or 3 days go off, no one even knows who your name is anymore, much less remember your card.
Right.
So treat it, it's pretty much an interview of 2 people of like minds, what can you do for me, and you follow up if there's a mutual.
Are you talking about the employer?
Employee, you still,
Yeah.
if I'm followed up and if I interviewed me, if I want the job, I'm definitely gonna say, hey man, great taking your time out, boom.
Okay, but what if it's not an interview? What if it's just a person you just met that you happen to just be cool with?
But it's all interviewing at some point.
Of course.
Depends on what point, so.
Right.
It can be dating, it's an interview at one point, right?
Yes, and that's what I was going to bring up for the scenario. So the first scenario was, if we're following up, I'm sure some of you have seen You Got Mail, right? You know the movie, is the thing called You Got Mail? Is that the movie? Yeah. I mean, hey, people, some of y'all thought I didn't see that movie, hey. But yeah, like on example, for You Got Mail, they're sending emails back and forth. But the question is, what happens if they don't reply back? What do you do?
Shoot one more follow-up, and then after that, then we're like,
All right, and that leads to the last thing. Of course, this is Q&A, which has been very interactive.
Go back to
But
your slide.
okay, go ahead. Because I was gonna do that. Okay, go ahead. Yes. So what's your response?
Yeah, so my response here is that, it's actually a question or a comment.
Sure.
But I think that follow-up is absolutely essential. Check, no problem.
Got it.
What I think you could include here potentially is a time frame, right? Because time can go by where it's no longer, maybe I don't see it because I'm right in
The time to connect.
So what I'm saying, you want to do it between 72 hours, 48 hours,
Yeah.
a week, or whatever that is,
Mhm.
depending on what the goal of the conversation is.
Of course.
So, at least for me, that's where it tends to fall off.
Yeah, it
Wait
varies.
3 days later on, I'm like, I haven't done it yet, so
Right.
I commit myself to a process like this, and I know that if I'm trying to build a relationship, a rapport,
Yeah.
a new contact, whatever that is,
Mhm.
I want to make sure that I've got a time frame in my mind by which I want to complete that by, or at least some action on that.
Oh, of course. And that also depends on the person too, because some people are so busy that, like, let's say if you meet them on a Friday, and you know, I have a podcast, a networking podcast, and one of my guests that was on there, she gave great advice. Actually, Siani, she was on the podcast, but she said, if you're sending a business email and you're looking for a partnership to connect, if you talk to them on Friday, you don't email them on Friday. You email them Sunday. Because when you go to their inbox, that's the first thing you see. Because if you email them on Friday, they're getting emails on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you're stuck. So that means you have to send another email. But then by that point, there's already emails being flooded into this person. So I think it varies based off of who you are connecting with. It varies based off of when you want to connect, and that could be something you can ask them during the follow-up or like during the conversation. How often do you like check your emails? Are you good with phones? Like, what's the best way to contact you? So that way, if it's through text, you can send a text on Friday. They should be able to see it. Now, will they respond? That's not going to be up to you. It's going to be up to them because it's going to be on the receiving end. So I think it varies based off of who you know, who you're connecting with, how cool y'all are. Because some people are weird. Let's be real. Some people are weird. So you don't want to. You're weird. We'll chat another day or something, or like you have other things to do, so maybe you don't have time to talk to somebody. So it really varies. But yeah, so did y'all see the thing at the bottom? What did it say? What was the main thing? Did y'all see? You. Because the thing about it is, in most scenarios, it can be silent the whole time. So it's going to be up to you to say something in most cases, especially if you're the person that wants to connect with them. If you don't want to connect with them, then you don't have to say anything. That's fine. But in most cases, when you are seeing somebody and you, like, the networking is supposed to be a skill for you, not necessarily the person, because not everybody knows how to network. So if you know how to network, then it makes it that much easier to continue the conversation compared to waiting on them to say something. Because if you wait on them, it's never going to happen. It's up to you.
That's right. Can you
Yes.
go back to the progression?
Sure.
Start from approach to follow-up.
All right. Approach to follow up.
Yeah, so
I'm getting the hang of this thing. Okay.
what I wanted to say was, even
Yes.
though it's going from left to right,
Yes.
start to finish.
Yes.
So going back to the scenario with the conference,
Right.
you can have an intermission with someone,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's say you see somebody you didn't know,
Right.
right? But then you go back to that person you was talking to. Now you get back in the conversation phase.
Exactly. So what usually
You
happens,
can't jump around.
you can, but in most cases, if there's an intermission, you still gotta approach them again because you don't know when you're gonna see them. You might see them at another location. So it's like, oh, we're at a bar now. You're at a conference. Oh, wait, we're at a brunch. Oh, wait, we got a church service in the morning. It starts over. So the whole thing about this is a process that repeats over and over and over and over again. But the only way to master it is if you are aware of each step and apply it to each person. But again, each person is different. But the process is still the same.
Just for you personally.
Y'all better know about Hampton.
I go to Hampton University. We're here at homecoming, and I'm so excited because I'm going to talk to as many people as I can, including my close friends. It's a stand-up!
And we outside Hampton homecoming.
We're ready, we're lit, it's homecoming, so you should already be networking, right?
That is what it's about.
And look, this is the best person to teach you about networking, in case y'all didn't know.
I'm like, what are the odds I see my favorite people here?
You're a mogul, a business mogul. They better know from now. If they don't know,
Girl.
we're gonna make this on record, sir. Listen.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Skirt! No.